Hello everyone, welcome to our session, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening. My name is Choi. I'm the Director of Business Development at Korea스타트업포럼. I'm very honored to be here today as a moderator for this session, and our session title is called Transformation of Consumer Experience Driven by AI and 3D Printing. And I'm so glad to have such a great, wonderful, and inspiring speakers who is going to touch upon how our consumer experience in particularly retail store will be transformed, what are their future technologies, and what kind of solutions we have. So let me first start with an introduction to our great panelists. So perhaps I can give a short stage and a short floor to perhaps Danit first. So Danit, can you introduce yourself first?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Danit Peleg. I am a 3D printing fashion designer based in Tel Aviv, Israel. And for the last 5 years, I've been working to make this technology scale, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, and this is a great pleasure to have you. And also, Danit is known as the world's first fashion, a 3D fashion designer, as far as I know. And also, she's also one of the TED speakers, so we are excited to hear about your story. And let's move to Alberto. Alberto, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, great to be here. I'm Alberto Rizzoli. I'm the CEO of V7, and we are the startup with the aim of having any business be able to create the sense of sight. And most consumer experiences are driven by sight, driven by vision. And we're going to talk about retail and how sight allows us to buy things, to organize retail stores, and ultimately to make commerce among small businesses, and how AI technology can help both automate this, but also enhance this and create what retail will be in the future. Happy to be here and can't wait to discuss all of this with you.
Yeah, thank you for your introduction, and also I'm very excited to hear about your story as well. And also Alberto also is a serial entrepreneur as far as I know, and he successfully established some other also AI startups already before, right? So our session will be consist of 2 presentations by each panelist. Then we're gonna move to a panel discussion with some question and answers. So let us start with firstly Danit's presentation. So Danit, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Let's just start. This is not working. We all love fashion, but the way we make it today is hurting our planet, creating inequality, especially among women, and the whole concept of it just doesn't make sense. Fashion is one of the most polluting industries in the world and is a major contributor to the global climate impact. Our clothes are made with tons of toxic chemicals that make their way into our water sources. Clothes design and become almost disposable and are incredibly wasteful. Not much has changed in the past 100 years. Women are still working hard to make our clothing, and the technology that we use to create fashion is still the same. We still use the same types of sewing machines. But at the same time, in the last 20 years, we have doubled the number of garments that we produce. More than 100 billion clothing items are made every year, and most of them end up in landfills or burned. Well, what can we do to change this crazy reality of fast fashion? I think we need to change the process of producing and consuming fashion radically. It is necessary to all of us to innovate and develop completely new ways of making our clothes that are less harmful to our planet and to the millions of workers. Imagine a world where you have the power to change. You choose what you want to wear, and you choose how and when to produce it, because you simply 3D print sustainable clothing from digital files at your home all by yourself. I believe and hope that by 2030, the way we manufacture our clothes will change dramatically. And today I will show you why I think 3D printed fashion can be a major player in this revolution. My journey with 3D printed fashion started 4 years ago when I was at fashion school. I decided that instead of sewing my final fashion collection like my friends did, I would use 3D printers. After 9 months of research and development, I end up printing the world's first fashion collection using only home printers, desktop machine. Ever since then, I learned how deep of a crisis we're in with the traditional way of fashion manufacturing. And I realized that if we can take this innovation and make it scale with the right materials, we could reduce our negative impact on the world. This is a 3D printed dress that I made for the Olympics in Rio. The process of making this dress showed me once again the potential power of using 3D printing. Working on this dress was very challenging because I didn't get the chance to meet the dancer in person before the rehearsal in Brazil. But thanks to 3D printing and a simple Israeli app, I was able to create and customize the dress so it fit her like a glove without ever meeting her in person. And the whole process created zero waste. So after 7 months of work, the dress was on stage in a beautiful dance with a robot partner. It felt amazing that hundreds of millions of people saw 3D printed dress in action for the first time. So how does 3D printing in fashion work today? It's simple yet powerful technology that's used widely in many other industries. It works by printing layer after layer, allowing us to create and print literally any structure we can imagine, including printing shoes, textiles, and accessories. With 3D printing, we're able to see the digital simulation of the final product before it even goes to production. This is when we're able to make changes before the physical product is made, saving us so much time, effort, and waste. The first garment that I ever printed is this Red Liberté jacket that you can see behind me. It took me 300 hours to print and assemble this jacket. I used small machines, small printers, and I had to piece all the garments together from dozens of parts, just like a 3D puzzle. To complete the entire collection, I just brought 6 printers to my home in Tel Aviv, and I just printed 24/7 for 2 weeks in a row. Well, sounds like a lot, right? But over the past 3 years, that has already evolved. Today, when I print my garments, I use much more sophisticated printers, which allow me to print this jacket that I'm wearing right now in just 4 pieces. And the printing time is 3 times faster. Innovators are coming up with new printers to make this manufacturing process faster. But indeed, this is still a big challenge. We need to find ways to accelerate printing time to minutes. 3D printing materials are also evolving, and the majority of them are made from recycled plastics. Today, you can already print with wood, with metal, and even with glass. So developing the right materials for 3D printed fashion is the biggest challenge that we face. One of my projects this year is to solve this challenge. Together with my team in the Moon Creative Lab in Palo Alto and Tokyo, we are aiming to change and create materials that will have similar properties to fabrics we know today. To have a real sustainable alternative to our current fashion supply chain, it is key that we develop materials that can be printed, can feel good, and can be recycled. If 3D printing and fashion becomes commonplace, the way we consume our fashion will also change quite a bit. Shopping for fashion will be similar to how we shop for music today. So we will be able to pick items we like from fashion brands or from our local favorite fashion designer. We will buy a file, customize it, personalize it like by writing your name in the back, and we will then load the printer with the appropriate fabric filament. So if it's a summer day, you'll print with cotton, and if it's winter, you'll print with wool, and you will have it ready within minutes in the comfort of your home or in the closest retail store. There are many benefits to 3D printing as it's related to our environment, and it can be a real sustainable alternative to the problems we face in the industry today, as well as improve the customer experience and make fashion even more personalized and fun. Today, 15% of the raw textiles materials in the world are wasted only on the cutting process. But with 3D printing, very limited waste is produced. When I print this jacket or this dress that you see, every part has a role and every part is being used, so there is no leftovers. This is not something possible to achieve when you work with traditional fabrics. Oftentimes, big brands produce way too much styles and designs that are not successful, and they end up as waste under the ground, or worse, being burned. But 3D printed clothes are on demand, so there will be literally no need for inventory. With digital clothing, we can email address to a friend in Seoul or wherever you are, and they can print it on the other side of the world. So essentially, there will be no shipping cost. Today, only 1% of our clothes of the world is being recycled. But with 3D printing, it may be possible to recycle most of the materials. So if I'm done using this jacket, I just blend it, create new filament, and then print a new dress. It is possible to customize every printed piece. So when you print clothes, they fit exactly to your measurements. Imagine you as a young fashion designer uploading your 3D design online and immediately having millions of people download and print them, turning them into a viral fashion items. So just like today, a video can go viral on Facebook or YouTube, in the future, a jacket or a t-shirt could become viral too. So these were just a few of the amazing benefits that we will have if 3D printing technology evolves. If it does, the fashion industry will undergo a huge positive revolution. And we're moving at the right direction because awareness is growing for more ethical fashion. But to make a real difference, we need to change the process from scratch. With more research and development into 3D printing, I do believe we have a shot at reinventing this industry and rebuild it to be circular and radically cleaner. In a couple of generations, we will be looking very differently at the way we do things today and wonder why we didn't change more quickly. I hope for more entrepreneurs, researchers, academics, and fashion students to be inspired to think big and bring the digital revolution to fashion. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to stay in touch.
Thank you very much, Danit, for your great presentation. It was so interesting, and then a lot of inspiration. And I was so inspired and impressed by your novel idea on how to revolutionize this fashion industry. And then, well, we're definitely gonna have some questions and answers with you after the presentation by Alberto. So Alberto, it's your turn. So feel free to speak anything about your vision and then your great ideas. So. Floor is yours.
Excellent. So let's get started. Great. Thank you, Josh, and happy to get started. We're going to talk about vision now, about sight. We've seen the hypothetical vision of the metaphorical vision of the future of fashion. Now we're going to talk about the actual biological vision turned into machine vision within the retail industry, and how it's used and how it can help enhance these consumer experiences. We're going to dive deep into the technology of AI and briefly discuss what are the challenges to revolutionizing this consumer experience. And the first one starts at the fact that we are very creative animals, us humans, and we create new objects all the time. And if we want machines to learn to recognize them and to learn to see how we interact with them, they need to be able to learn quickly. Below are just some random objects that are important to us humans, everything within biology to energy manufacturing to medical things, all the way to products and the fruits and foods that we eat every day. V7's mission is to enable the understanding of any visual tasks so that any small business can automate it and enhance it using machine vision. And within retail stores, it is one of the greatest challenges of our time, because retail, or commerce in general, is where us humans get our creative thoughts and turn them into products. And these products can be hundreds of thousands within a single region or a single country. As a result, what we actually get is the challenge of understanding the entirety of human production and human creativity in order to allow the retail experiences of tomorrow: autonomous checkout, semi-autonomous stores, and just better user experience in between the online and the offline world. If we think about how the wealthiest of the wealthiest people shop today, in many cases, they actually never go through the checkout line. They have someone else, an assistant, who will perform checkout for them. This often happens in the fashion industry, where there are personal shoppers and these very privileged services, and AI is enabling us to take this service and bringing it to the general population. Another trend of our time is that we're increasingly shopping in between the online and the offline world. And the ability to search and understand what objects are near us, not in the warehouse that is hundreds of kilometers away, but near us in a radius, will enable us to take a short walk and buy the objects that we need, thereby saving CO2 emissions, as well as enabling new services to deliver products to us that are from our local community. And one of the best ways to do it is to have machines understand what is in stock and what is not in stock. And believe it or not, the fact that we don't really know what is in the inventory of our shelves is something that is really hampering the online industry, the online shopping industry, from becoming more local. And everyone has done an online shopping experience where you get a product back that is a substitute, and that's never a great experience. And so there are three main components that V7 takes care of to help hundreds of businesses turn into autonomous stores. We are the technology layers that powers many autonomous checkout startups, as well as just retail technology startups. And the three components is the ability to organize visual data. There is visual data being captured from stores all the time, both from cameras that understand if there are stockouts, and from the cameras that are understanding the actual checkout process at a self-checkout machine, or simply the picking up of items. The second part that every retailer or every retail startup will have to do is label their data. And labeling data is something that is a bit of a human plus AI tango. You are effectively teaching the AI in real time what it needs to identify. And the V7 platform allows you to teach the understanding of any object within any domain using an AI plus human assisted system. What this allows us to do is what you're seeing on the screen are very different objects, and we enable businesses to learn any object within their retail stores with only a few training examples, so they can get started really quickly. And then finally, once they have some training samples, they will start and launch their product. And in that case, they can now start understanding what is happening within their retail stores, encode these actions, and then use them to perform autonomous checkout or autonomous restocking experiences. Here you're seeing some of the technologies that are involved in it, the understanding of human pose, the understanding of objects in hand, and then the understanding of containers, the items that we carry with us in order to complete our shoppings that are ultimately part of ourselves as a unit and a customer within the store, our carrying bags, if you will. And the way to understand this is that all of this is actually data. Everything that we see through our eyes is data that correlates with a certain activity or with a certain domain. A person's hand is a grasper that actually indicates an action. An object is our item of desire. And the items that we carry with us are ultimately data that belongs to who we are as a customer within the store. Where can we actually place objects that we want to buy? And the ultimate experience is that in any store of the future, you will be able to walk in, pick up whatever you wish and walk out, and automatically pay for what you have picked from the store as if it was the refrigerator within your home. We're not there yet for every store in the world, but the mission is to enable this as a bottom-up approach. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. Now let's see some of this technology in action. This these are some videos from 2 years ago where we had started some of this technology, and things have radically improved since then. We can now understand hundreds of these human skeletons from hundreds of cameras using conventional hardware. We can understand objects as small as a credit card or a packet of gum from a camera that is 5 meters away. And we can also track people in extremely crowded situations. You can also see in the top right, the understanding of grasping has improved so much that we can now understand when people pick up objects as soon as they lay their hands on it, as opposed to just hovering their hand. The machines are now starting to understand the minute human details of a person's activity to enable this checkout. And then ever more, we're able to understand anything from a generic product all the way to classifying products no longer among hundreds of classes, but among tens of thousands of classes. Your average retail store, at least here in the United Kingdom, will have 10,000 to 20,000 different product types. In Korea, maybe it's even more. People want selection, they want variety, and they don't expect technology to hamper that. They expect to enhance it, and so it needs to keep up with this type of activity. Another really interesting component is activity recognition. The machines are now able to understand human activity to a detail in which, in real time, they can understand what type of actions people are taking and ultimately correlate that with the analytics of how retail stores should be laid out. There's many more things that customers using V7 take advantage of. We can detect falls, the scanning of inventory, of course, something that enables restocking autonomously, interaction analysis, like I showed before. How long are you looking at a specific shelf? How are you taking away products that you're actually not paying for? Are you trying to shuffle products around or performing activities that you shouldn't? And how can we actually help the staff within the store focus on making the shelving more neat, more appeasing to customers, and less about monitoring and policing the rest of the retail store? And ultimately, this revolution doesn't just stop at on the retail shelves. The understanding of human activity is something that is now being used all over multiple industries. And here's another example from chemical research. So this is a life sciences laboratory. And if you think about this, these are the same activities that are being done in a retail store. Someone picks up objects and interacts with them with other parts of their individual activity. And this simple example just shows you how versatile the sense of vision is. And this is just to open up your imagination and show how it's being used in other situations as well. And finally, we're very privileged to have hundreds of customers that trust us, some of the strongest AI teams in the world that are using our technology to enhance these customer experiences and create a better autonomous checkout and autonomous retail experiences. And I can't wait to tell you more about it in the Q&A and how this is changing the world of retail. And thank you very much. I had a slide that didn't play, and it shows you the understanding where this is me actually in the store. I am picking up some random objects, and the machine in real time is understanding that I've picked up these objects. And I try to shake them around to fool the camera because it creates blurriness. I try to hide them behind my back. I turn around, and it's still able to understand this wide variety of objects as I pick them up and I put them down. And this is only using one camera. If there is more of them, you can actually create a little kiosk like this, or even a larger store, and understand these activities in real time. And here I am picking up Pocky, one of my favorite snacks, and it's able to understand that I actually have these items in hand. And this system knows an inventory of, in this case, it's 500 different objects in this specific room, and you can have up to 10,000 across an entire store. So yeah, hopefully I haven't made a fool of myself in this video and you've enjoyed this glimpse of tech. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your great presentation, Alberto, and thanks a lot to our panelists for their excellent presentation. Okay, now let's move to our panel discussion with some Q&A. Okay, my first question is going to Danit. So Danit, you mentioned about some of the benefits of having 3D printing technologies in fashion industry. For example, we don't need any inventory. Also, there's no shipping cost. This is really great. Also, economic benefits. I'm wondering, if we can get to a point where we can fully 3D print clothes at home, and if possible, when would it be? Can you answer this question?
Sure, great question. So, you know, we need to overcome these two biggest challenges before it will be available at every home, and we will have these 3D printers that will print for us food, they will print clothing, they will print other items that we need in our house. So the printers has to be faster, and it's getting there. Let's remember how was the internet 20 years ago compared to today. So it is evolving and growing literally every month. And then the materials is one of the problems. Today, the fabrics that I'm wearing, they're super cool. They're coming directly from the printer, and I can just wear them right after. But they feel like a rubber, like a really rubbery kind of clothing. We want to make them feel like something familiar that is totally wearable and will feel like cotton or like wool. And then if you have the option to recycle them right after, then and doing it completely from, you know, the comfort of your home, then it will make the biggest difference. So, you know, I think in the next 10 years, we will see much more innovation coming from this area, and we will see it growing. We talked about AI, and AR is actually one of the biggest a player that's coming into digital fashion these days. So now you can see on your Instagram filters a piece of garment, and 3D printing is actually closing this loop between digital to physical, because with 3D printing, not only I am able to see the object from every angle, I am also able to send it to print and make it physical. So I think AR has a huge potential when it comes to 3D printed fashion. And for your second part of your question, how is the retail store is going to look like, or how is it going to affect this industry? I think anyways, fashion stores and like stores in itself is going to be much more like an experience for a customer in the future. It's going to be like a museum. So if you're going to like a tea store, it's going to be like a tea lab where you can experience and, you know, smell different teas and taste them. And if you're going to a retail store for fashion, then you will have all these AR opportunities where you can integrate with the items, like maybe try on a piece of sample and then order to yourself the actual items. So there is less inventory, and it's going to be like nearby manufacturing, in-house manufacturing even. So these are all the changes that we will see, and we're starting to see with Nike, for example, has these innovative stores right now when you can have this fully experience of using technology and like try on your clothing just by watching yourself in the mirror. So I think the next 10 years is going to be very important for this revolution of making fashion much more sustainable and clean.
Yes, great answer. Well, the COVID-19 situation is basically, creating new norm our lives. So instead of going to any offline store where you can be exposed to the risk of being infected, people are getting familiar with doing things at home. I think this kind of new environment is really driving the innovation, like you said, in 3D printing, so that people can do more things at home, which also include 3D printing clothes and all other materials at home instead of going somewhere, buying things. And I think this kind of revolution really will continue. And also, you also mentioned about AR, so I think, not just the 3D technology, but also a lot of other technology will, combine and converge so that we can have even more revolutionary solutions, and that's the future we're dreaming. So I'm so excited with seeing this kind of future in the next 10 years, as you said. Great, thank you very much, your answer. And let's move to a question to Alberto. So you mentioned about the AI technology, particularly in retail stores. So do you think that AI technology is removing the need for like the human labor such as the cashiers and checkout lines, and will automation and AI recognition technology remove all need for in-person labor within the retail sector, or is there any way for humans and AI to collaborate and having more productive business in retail area?
No, there's a conundrum where humans actually really like other humans in the right working positions if they're well represented. If you look at one of the most successful grocery chains in the United States, Trader Joe's, it puts humans at the forefront of doing everything. Even the labels of each product's price are written in chalk with stylized graphics by a human. So it's a very human-centric store, and it is one of the most successful and enjoys one of the highest profits in the nation. Why is that? And the reason is that every role within the retail environment is given a very strong meaning. To the person that is doing the checkout for you, it is very meaningful in that context. And it is very meaningful also to have the right layout for the store and the right environment. I think that the parts in which AI will start automating is work that unfortunately has lost that strong strength of meaning, and it starts to become one where it almost is at the end of its life cycle and needs to be turned into some form of technology. Checkout is increasingly becoming one of these because people are now used to checkout machines, and this has already in part removed the in-person checkout. And if you look at the Gen Z generation, most of them are still using these autonomous checkout machines when they're able to do so. There is still a lot of space for human work in retail because technology can't automate it, but it really shouldn't be what we focus on. For example, restocking is something that we do mostly because technology can't do it yet, because robots can't do it yet. But if that weren't the case, then you would have in some stores that job being done by robots. But can you recreate creativity? Can you recreate beautiful store layouts from technology? That's going to be a lot harder. And the winners here are likely going to be small businesses, the non-warehouse looking large retail stores that actually put taste, thought, and creativity into the way their store is laid out, that actually try to encourage and enhance their staff into loving the store that they work in. And the ones that eventually will abide to technology are the ones where the processes are systematically repeatable, like your very large retail stores, like your large wholesale stores. There will always be a human element if you really want to succeed and create the level of authenticity. And all the things that are repeatable are going to be AI-driven or robot-driven in the future. And that is simply the way labor has gone for the last years since the Industrial Revolution, and will likely continue this way.
Thank you very much, Alberto, for your answer. So basically, I understand you emphasized on some more productive collaboration between human and AI rather than some of the risk that people are concerning about the replacement of AI for the human labor. And I think that's the really right future we have to also shape as well. Okay, so let's move to some other questions. Well, Alberto, also I have a very important question related to your presentation. You mentioned about data. So basically, all this AI technology you are developing, which will be used in retail store, can collect a lot of personal data. For example, if I move in this way, and they can recognize my behavior, and then they realize what I want and what I am going to do. So this kind of information, particularly related to human behavior, is also about some kind of personal data and privacy. So what do you think about this kind of issues, and do you have any measure, especially security measure, to protect personal data, but at the same time understand better about human behavior so that we can increase the productivity? Is there any way to have a balanced development in considering these two conflicting issues?
Yeah, we are a very security focused and privacy focused business. We fully acknowledge that vision is something that humans are not very friendly with, because we as humans, as apes, associated with spying, and as natural mammals that with a sense of privacy, we really do not like being looked at and observed. And I'm personally like this. I don't even like being looked at or people looking at my screen while I'm working. I hate it. And we need to find good ways of rolling out this technology in a way that is not creepy, because otherwise there will be backlash and the entire technology industry will suffer from it. Luckily, in Europe, we have some wonderful laws, believe it or not, on privacy, GDPR being one of them, that prevents businesses from storing information about you without explicit consent. And this means that we, for example, cannot distinguish people by their face. We need to find other means to anonymously track them throughout the store, only for the means of keeping a shopping cart open. Not for knowing, for example, if you specifically, Josh, like sardines over anchovies, but rather that a certain number of people prefer sardines over anchovies within your store, and maybe you should put sardines in a better shelf. The protection of the individual should be extremely important for AI to succeed. Otherwise, people will start rebelling against this. It's already a powerful enough technology that we need to handle it lightly, and this needs to be paramount to us. On the other side, there's also a question of, hey, will autonomous checkout create shrinkage? Will people want to just pick up things and leave without paying or jump over the fences? And this has not really been too much of an issue already with self-checkout machines. Sure, there is some shrinkage, but if you think about it, anything that has a 20% chance of getting caught is not worth for most people. So if a technology works in which you can abuse it for a certain percentage of time or percentage of risk, then you will likely not take that risk and do so. With the paramount thing is that intervention shouldn't be a thing. We should not take the retail experience that is already in need of a change and turn it into something that is closer to social media advertising sales, which already try to learn everything about you. I think that is going backwards. And I think that newer and younger generations actually want to feel free inside these retail environments, experiment and testing, without their own persona and individualism being the product, but rather the collective mind share of who likes these items being the ultimate product.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's also another interesting issue. I think, yeah, as you said, it will be extremely important to protect personal data as well as also understand people's behavior well, so that we can have a really balanced development for this area. And then what about you? I mean, also, especially also in 3D printing, fashion industry, it seems like that you can also more and more customize your consumers' needs, and probably people can 3D print their clothes exactly as they want, and that kind of also information data will be truly important asset for fashion companies. Also, they probably want to know more about their customers. And have you ever thought any kind of also measure for this kind of privacy concerns or personal data?
Well, not yet. I think it's actually it's when it comes to like inventory, it's actually an important information for the fashion companies to understand that this season women prefer long skirts over short skirts, so they will produce less of them in the future, or they will learn from it. But for now, everything is based on a lot of assumption, what people would like or not like, and sometimes a lot of the inventory is not being sold. So I think with 3D printing, you'll have the option, or with digital fashion, you'll have the option to know what people are actually liking better than others before it even goes to production. So this is can be very useful.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your answer. Okay. So let's move to another question here. Maybe to Alberto again. Perhaps maybe this trend will be more or less the same in Europe, also in the US, particularly during COVID-19. the online, store, online shopping is really, skyrocketed, and the more and more people are trying to, or even they more prefer to buy goods in online shops and through online shopping mall. And in your opinion, what is the future of offline commerce retail in an ecosystem where offline commerce is becoming less common?
Yeah, this is a very exciting topic because it's theory crafted. We can imagine any future we want, especially in this situation in which we push the big reset button. And it's a good time to see this as an opportunity to bring forward a new vision for retail. Stores are closing. I live above 3 in this road that I'm in, and unfortunately, they all had to close. And the rent for retail is going to be one of the issues, and it's going to have to go lower. And the experience of why do you go to a retail store will have to change. And I'm pretty sure that it will change with these new technologies brought to this fresh new system. I think what Danit explained earlier really ties well into this. Retail will be more of a showroom experience, and especially more of an experience and less of a place where you just perform a chore, buy things, and go back to your home. With few exceptions like groceries, which will always feel like a small warehouse. And what this will enable is that people will go from the online world, from knowing that an item is nearby that they may be interesting, to the offline world in a local environment. AI, technologies in robotics, technologies in access control will allow us to have smaller retail centers that represent our local maker community and our local manufacturing community. What this means is if I make a specific type of garment, whether it's 3D printed and is send it to one of these stores digitally, or it's not, and I send it to local mini stores, these can be all managed through AI. You can have your retail presence within any mini retail outlet, any smaller market, distributed across the country or the city without having to go through the traditional purchase a lot, pay rent for that lot, decorate it, and so on. And this creates a better opportunity for pop-up stores, a better opportunity for making the voice of small businesses heard, and also a better opportunity for local delivery. Because if these items are near you, if your local small shop is nearby you, you can first of all find out if the object that you want is in stock online, because cameras will know that the object is there. And then if you want it delivered to your home, someone can bring it to you with a bicycle rather than an enormous truck coming from a warehouse nearby. I think it's a right time to start exploring these. And I'd be really excited to start seeing some of these new concepts, like the one that Danit explained, start popping up both during this situation and when it's over, to see what this new renaissance, perhaps, of offline retail will bring us.
Okay, well, thanks for your another excellent answers. So for me, it's very interesting to see two different answers from you guys, particularly in terms of transformation offline retail store. So actually, Danit mentions a totally different, experience at the retail store. As you said, it will be some kind of museum type, retail store. But as also, Alberto also talked about the possibility of local small businesses as a new, opportunity, for the customers and also the retail store business people to face this kind of new revolution and challenges. What about Danit? I mean, in my opinion, also when we are able to have a 3D printing technology in retail store and fashion industry, it seems like that we can have more and more personalized, customized fashion design, which means that, all the fashion industry players, the fashion companies can know better about their customers and also their physical appearance and some of their preference. Those kind of also personal information also can be collected. So is there anything you can share about this kind of concern in fashion industry? And also, have you ever thought about any security measure to protect also personal information in the fashion industry?
Sure. So there is already stores like that. I just came back from Venice 2 weeks ago, and Venice, it's a tiny little island in Italy. And they had a store in one of the main streets that sells jewelries that are 3D printed completely. So when you walked into this store, you see these desktop 3D printers printing the jewelry. Then you can try them on because they have a few, different options with these jewelries, but they're also selling the files. So you can choose if you want to buy the file for a few dollars, or if you want to buy the final product that is completely, local manufacturing, literally in this store. So they're selling beautiful jewelries and lamps and like other designs for the in-house that you can't even say that are 3D printed. So this is a great example on how you can buy the digital object of it, like see it in the store, try it on, and then buy just the files and do it yourself at your home, or in, in your university if you have these printers, or in our office. So this is just an interesting example to see a physical store that sell these digital files. But it has this experience because you can see the object is being printed. You can be part or like learn how to run it. So this is like the first step of this revolution. But already today, you can find millions of items that you can print in these desktop machines that are either open source, completely free, or you will ask to be paid a few dollars to buy these files and do it yourself. And also on my website, in the next few weeks, it's going to be available. You'll be able to buy digital files of fashion items. So imagine like iTunes, but for fashion. So it's going to be just an interesting way to see how people are interacting, like creating their own like jacket like this or tops based on like instructions, like IKEA instructions, I call it. So you know how to assemble it and do it 100% from your home or wherever you have these desktop machines. This is the only thing you need. And it's actually feeling very like it's like democratized fashion in a way, because you're able to create a full fashion collection or a few garments for yourself just by using a computer, a printer, and yourself. And so this is very, very unique.
Thank you very much. And you guys' answers to my questions are even more exciting, amazing, compared to your presentations, because the more I'm exploring these issues with you guys, and the more interesting things that I'm realizing and understanding and learning. So this is really, really great. Okay, as you guys know, this year's COMEUP 2020's theme is Meet the Future Post-Pandemic. So I just would like to ask some questions about COVID-19 and its impact on your domain and your industry and your business. So reflecting, the 2020, and what was the biggest changes or challenges you witnessed in your business, and what are the future paths we have to overcome these challenges for the next year? Perhaps this question will be asked to both of you.
I think the best strategy has been to adapt to the times as efficiently as possible and seek opportunity in it. And in the AI world, this has been a privileged situation, because a lot of AI has to do with the unavailability of human work or the inaccessible human work. We have seen in non-consumer scenarios, like in medicine, the role of AI taking scans from a hospital or a medical room anywhere across the United Kingdom to a doctor, to their phone or to their mobile devices, so they can do the assessment remotely, and having AIs do this processing, triage, and routing to the right person automatically. We are seeing retail stores adapt to personal shoppers from your grocery delivery companies that are guided with AI to find the products that their customers need without having to go through a labyrinth of retail stores and to find an onion. They are immediately told, hey, the onion is over there. We can see it in the system. And this adaptation is bringing up new forms of creativity, new technologies as well, and new implementations that will live beyond this period of time. So I would suggest to try and adapt to the situation and seek opportunity in it. There are some out there. And even though this is not the easiest of time for us, there's still hope in looking at technology and looking at what this brings to the future. It's what drives me forward, to know that no matter what happens, the progress of human invention still creates new opportunities for us, and ultimately to take it and refresh the status quo once the situation is over. But even today, I think this is a refreshing opportunity that I don't think I will ever have in the rest of my life. And there's some positive attitudes there that can help us find these small opportunities and claim them.
Well, thank you. Okay, what about Danit?
Well, I think we see a big state of mind difference since this whole insane situation, became part of our life. So we definitely see much more interest about sustainable fashion and how we can produce things and do things differently. And we actually were able, I feel, this is only from what I feel from the last 6 months, is that we're much more open to restart everything, restart the way we think about what is the reality and how can we do things. And it's like a good way, it's a good time for us to understand that we could do things differently, and maybe it will reflect our world in a really intense way. So definitely sustainability in fashion becomes one of the most important topic in this whole industry. We saw a lot of the way we consume fashion shows right now is completely digital. There is no audience, so you can literally see the garments from every angle. So you have even better experience as a customer to see the runway shows. So when you see this technology becoming such a huge part of the way we see the fashion weeks, and it's completely based on technology, then you understand that technology is here to stay and it's only going to grow. And the way we do things for the last 100 years must be a better way to do it, and technology can help to improve it. And yeah, so this is a long answer for a quick question, but to summarize it, I think we got much more into understanding and reviewing the way we do things in a different angle, I would say it this way. And I think we use a lot of 3D printing in this, in many situations with COVID. Literally, people are printing masks and using it in emergency rooms, and it's been very useful. So it's another way for us to understand the benefits on what can we do with this technology.
Okay, thanks Danit and Alberto for kindly sharing your thoughts and answers to my questions. Okay, well, I really wish to have more and more chat with you guys, and because I'm so interested in the topics that you mentioned, and also I'm really wondering, your future plan, and then what are the future solutions from your side that you are thinking about. But given the limited time, we have to really finish this session. So I will give you just 30 seconds for you guys to make a really last remark, and maybe we can start with Danit. So Danit, please make your last final comment.
Thank you so much, Josh, for having me. It's been a pleasure, fascinating to meet you, Alberto, and I can't wait to stay in touch with all of you. I hope you're going to be one of the people who is going to experiment with 3D printing. Feel free to visit my website, danitpeleg.com, to download the fashion items or take a course to learn about this all fascinating idea of 3D printed fashion, and stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Alberto?
Yeah, thank you. My final message is I hope you seek inspiration that these new technologies are bottom-up revolutions, that tomorrow the world's most beautiful wedding dress is something that continuously evolves and can be downloaded to someone's home and worn. And the world's products can be bought in stores that are local, run by small businesses through technologies, without the need of economies of scale that are currently taking over the retail industry, but local, more creative, and especially more authentic. I think that if we can build that future, it's going to be a great one, and stick with our authenticity. And speaking of which, then I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the sessions. And yeah, thanks again for sticking around for this one. A pleasure meeting you all, and pleasure you meeting Danit and Josh.
Thank you very much again to our excellent panelists and for sharing your thoughts and insight, and especially also sharing your passion to transform the world into a better place. And I'm so impressed, and I'm so glad to learn a lot of things from your side. And I wish you guys the best luck, and then I wish we can meet in person in the future, perhaps after the COVID-19, when you have a freedom to fly and travel. Okay, thank you very much and have a good one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.